Dr. Ben Torres gripped the control panel of his small research vessel as warning lights flashed red across the dashboard. The ship shook violently as it entered the atmosphere of Kepler 442b. This was not how he had planned to explore the distant planet. "Come on. Hold together," Ben whispered to his ship as the hull groaned under the stress. The navigation system had failed 3 days ago. The communication array went dark 2 days after that. Now his engines were dying, and the planet below was his only hope for survival. Ben had volunteered for this solo research mission to study potentially habitable worlds. He was a xenobiologist and medical doctor, trained to handle first contact situations, but nothing in his training had prepared him for a crash landing. The ship broke through the cloud layer and Ben saw the surface rushing toward him. Strange crystalline formations jutted from the ground like giant gems. Rivers of silver liquid flowed between them, catching the light of the alien sun. It was beautiful, but Ben had no time to appreciate the view. The ship hit the ground hard. Ben's safety harness dug into his chest as he was thrown forward. The sound of twisting metal filled the air. Then everything went quiet. Ben opened his eyes and found himself hanging upside down in his pilot seat. His head throbbed, but he was alive. Smoke drifted through the cabin. He needed to get out before something caught fire. He unfastened his harness and dropped to what used to be the ceiling. His emergency kit had scattered across the floor. Ben gathered the medical supplies and his portable translator device. These might be the only things standing between him and death on an alien world. The ship's door was jammed. Ben kicked at it until it finally opened with a loud creak. He climbed out into bright sunlight and clean air that smelled like flowers and ozone. The crash site was a mess of twisted metal and scorched earth. His ship would never fly again. Ben looked around and realized he was not alone. A group of tall figures stood at the edge of the crash site. They looked like living statues made of colored crystal. Their skin caught the sunlight and threw it back in rainbow patterns. Some were purple like amethyst. Others were green like emerald or blue like sapphire. Ben reached for his translator and switched it on. The device hummed as it tried to process the musical sounds the crystal beings were making to each other. One of them stepped forward. She was taller than the others, and her purple skin seemed to glow from within. Patterns of silver light moved under her crystal surface like flowing water. She wore a crown made of the same silver material that ran in rivers across the planet. "Greetings, Sky-Fallen One," the translator spoke in Ben's earpiece. The voice was melodic and strange. "I am Queen Zara of the Veilnari people. You have crashed in our sacred valley." Ben raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "I am Dr. Ben Torres from Earth. My ship failed. I didn't mean to intrude on your land." Queen Zara tilted her head as she studied him. "Earth? We have heard stories of your kind in the old songs. You are the soft ones who live on the water world." "That's us," Ben said, managing a weak smile. "Look, I know this is awkward, but I could really use some help. My ship is destroyed, and I have no way to contact my people." The Queen's crystal guards moved closer. They carried staffs that glowed with internal light, but they did not seem threatening. Ben noticed that the Veilnari moved with a strange grace, as if they were floating just above the ground. "We will consider your request," Queen Zara said, "but first you must come with us. The Sacred Valley is no place for lengthy discussion." Ben nodded and gathered his emergency supplies. He followed the group away from his ruined ship. The Veilnari moved in a formal procession, with the Queen at the center and guards surrounding her. They walked toward a collection of crystal formations that grew larger as they approached. Ben realized these were not natural formations but buildings. The entire city was carved from living crystal that continued to grow and change. Bridges of solid light connected the towers. Gardens of crystalline plants swayed in the breeze without making a sound. "This is incredible," Ben breathed. "How do you grow crystal like this?" "Our bodies resonate with the planet's core frequency," Queen Zara explained. "We shape matter through harmonic vibration. Your people would call it singing, though it is much more than that." As they entered the city, other Veilnari emerged from their crystal homes to stare at the strange visitor. Children with small crowns of light peeked out from behind their parents. Elder Veilnari with deep, rich colors in their crystal skin nodded respectfully to their queen. The procession stopped suddenly. A sound echoed through the crystal streets, a cry of pain that made Ben's heart skip. It came from a nearby transport, a floating platform made of the same silver material as the queen's crown. "Nira," Queen Zara whispered, all royal composure falling away. She rushed to the transport. Ben followed and saw a young Veilnari lying on soft cushions. Her crystal skin was pale and dim, like a light bulb about to burn out. The silver patterns under her surface moved slowly and erratically. She was clearly very sick. "My daughter," Queen Zara said, her voice breaking. "She suffers from the fading. Our best healers cannot help her." Ben knelt beside the transport. His medical training took over, pushing aside the strangeness of treating an alien patient. "May I examine her?" The Queen hesitated, then nodded. "You are a healer among your people?" "Yes," Ben said, pulling out his medical scanner. "I'm a doctor. I study how different forms of life work." He ran the scanner over Princess Nira's body. The readings were unlike anything he had seen, but the basic patterns were familiar. Her energy levels were critically low. Her body was not processing nutrients correctly. The mineral content in her crystal structure was severely depleted. "When did this start?" Ben asked. 3 months ago, Queen Zara replied. "She was healthy and strong, the pride of our people." Then she began to fade. Each day she grows weaker. Ben studied the scanner readings and cross-referenced them with his xenobiology database. The Veilnari were silicon-based life forms, but they needed specific minerals to maintain their crystal structure. Princess Nira's body was starving for elements it couldn't get from the local environment. "I think I know what's wrong," Ben said slowly. "Her body needs minerals that aren't available in your current food sources. It's like a nutritional deficiency." The Queen's guards moved closer, their staffs glowing brighter. "Our healers have tried every treatment known to our people," one of them said. "How could an alien understand what they cannot?" Ben ignored the challenge and focused on the princess. "Sometimes an outside perspective helps. I see patterns in biological systems that might look different to your healers." He opened his emergency medical kit and found what he was looking for: a broad-spectrum mineral supplement designed for use on alien worlds. Each capsule contained essential elements in a form that most carbon and silicon-based life forms could process. "This might help," Ben said, holding up the capsule. "It contains minerals in a pure form that her body should be able to use." Queen Zara stared at the small capsule. "You would risk your life to heal a stranger." "It's what doctors do," Ben said simply. "We help when we can." The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the crystal city hummed with harmonic vibrations. Finally, she nodded. "Proceed." Ben carefully dissolved the mineral supplement in water and helped Princess Nira drink it. Her crystal lips were cool against the cup and she swallowed with difficulty. "Now we wait," Ben said. "If I'm right, her body should start absorbing the minerals within a few hours." They moved the princess to a healing chamber inside the palace. The room was filled with soft light that came from the crystal walls themselves. Ben sat beside her bed, monitoring her vital signs with his scanner. Queen Zara paced the room, her crystal feet making no sound on the floor. Her guard stood at attention by the door. Palace healers came and went, watching the strange human doctor work with suspicious eyes. "Tell me about your people," Queen Zara said after an hour of silence. Ben looked up from his scanner. "We're not that different from you, really. We want to take care of our families. We want to learn and grow. We want to find our place in the universe. Your kind is young," the Queen observed. "We have been among the stars for thousands of your years, yet you understand healing in ways we do not." "Maybe that's exactly why," Ben said. "We're still learning, so we ask different questions." Princess Nira stirred on the bed. Her crystal skin began to brighten just a little. The silver patterns under her surface moved more smoothly. Ben's scanner showed her energy levels starting to climb. "It's working," Ben said with relief. "Her body is responding to the treatment." Over the next several hours, Princess Nira's condition continued to improve. Her skin regained its natural luminescence. The silver patterns flowed like healthy rivers under crystal. She sat up in bed and spoke to her mother in their musical language. Queen Zara turned to Ben with tears of light flowing down her crystal cheeks. "You have given me back my daughter. How can we ever repay such a gift?" "No payment needed," Ben said. "I'm just glad I could help." But the Queen was not finished. She called for her advisors and spoke to them in rapid harmonic tones. They nodded and departed quickly. "Dr. Ben Torres of Earth," Queen Zara said formally, "you have shown us something we had forgotten. Healing is not just about knowledge or power. It is about seeing life from new angles and caring enough to act." She paused and looked out the window at her crystal city. "Your ship is destroyed. Your people are far away, but you are not alone." The Queen turned back to Ben and her voice dropped to a whisper filled with hope and invitation. "Stay," she said, switching to carefully practiced human speech. "Our home is yours now." Ben stared at her in surprise. Around them, the crystal palace hummed with harmonic energy. Princess Nira smiled from her bed, color fully restored to her crystal features. The guards no longer watched him with suspicion but with respect. For the first time since his ship crashed, Ben realized he might have found something better than rescue. He might have found a new beginning. 3 months had passed since Ben Torres first stepped into the crystal palace of the Veil Nari. What began as a desperate crash landing had become the most extraordinary chapter of his life. The wing of the palace that Queen Zara had given him now buzzed with activity as Ben worked alongside Veil Nari, scientists to bridge the gap between two very different forms of medicine. Ben stood in his makeshift laboratory, examining crystalline samples under a microscope he had modified with Veil Nari technology. The fusion of human and alien science had produced tools beyond anything either species could create alone. Where his human equipment saw cellular structures, the Veil Nari enhancements revealed energy patterns flowing like rivers of light. "Dr. Ben," called Princess Nira as she entered the lab. Her crystal skin glowed with perfect health now, and she had become his most eager research partner. "The morning patients are here for their appointments." Ben smiled and set down his microscope. Since healing the princess, word had spread throughout the Veil Nari territories about the human doctor who saw illness in new ways. Every day brought visitors seeking help for conditions their own healers could not treat. "Let's see who we have today," Ben said, following Nira to the waiting area. The first patient was an elderly Veil Nari named Keeper Thane, whose deep blue crystal skin had developed dark patches that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Traditional Veil Nari healing focused on energy harmonics, but Ben had learned to look deeper at the physical structure of their crystal bodies. "The dark areas feel cold," Keeper Thane explained through Ben's translator. "My energy flows around them instead of through them." Ben ran his scanner over the affected areas. The readings showed a buildup of metallic impurities in the crystal matrix. It was like rust forming inside a machine, blocking the normal flow of energy. "I think we can help with this," Ben said. "Princess Nira, can you prepare the chelation solution we developed last week?" Nira nodded and moved to the treatment station. Over the past months, she had learned to assist with Ben's medical procedures. Her natural understanding of Veil Nari physiology, combined with Ben's knowledge of biochemistry, had proven to be a powerful partnership. The treatment involved a solution that would bind to the metallic impurities and allow the body to flush them out naturally. It was a technique Ben had adapted from human medicine for treating heavy metal poisoning, modified to work with silicon-based life forms. As they administered the treatment, Ben explained each step to both the patient and Princess Nira. Teaching had become as important as healing in his daily routine. The more the Veil Nari understood about human medical approaches, the better they became at adapting those techniques to their own people. "Your methods are so different from ours," Nira observed as they worked. "We focus on the energy patterns, but you look at the tiny building blocks that create those patterns." "Both approaches have value," Ben replied. "Energy flow is important, but sometimes you need to fix the foundation before the energy can flow correctly again." After treating Keeper Thane, they saw several more patients. Each case taught Ben something new about Veil Nari biology, while his human perspective often revealed solutions that had been invisible to their traditional healers. The afternoon brought a more serious challenge. A group of farmers arrived from the outer territories, their crystal skin dulled with exhaustion. Their leader, a green-hued Veil Nari named Cultivator Moss, spoke with urgency. "Dr. Ben, our crops are failing," Moss said. "The crystal gardens that have fed our people for generations are withering. If we cannot solve this problem, many will face the fading." Ben felt a chill of concern. The fading was what had nearly taken Princess Nira's life. If it was spreading to the general population, the entire Veil Nari civilization could be at risk. "Show me the affected areas," Ben said. They traveled to the outer territories in a Veil Nari transport that floated silently above the crystal formations. Ben brought his portable equipment and Princess Nira accompanied them as his assistant and translator. The crystal gardens were unlike anything from Earth. Tall formations of living crystal grew in organized rows, their surfaces covered with smaller growths that produced the minerals the Veilnari needed for nutrition. But many of the formations were pale and brittle, their surfaces cracked and lifeless. Ben knelt beside one of the dying crystal plants and ran his scanner over its surface. The reading showed severe mineral depletion in the soil and an imbalance in the energy frequencies that the plants needed to grow. "How long have your people been farming this way?" Ben asked. "For thousands of years," cultivator Moss replied. "Our ancestors learned to sing the crystal seeds into growth, and we have maintained their techniques without change." Ben studied the scan results more carefully. The problem was becoming clear. The Veilnari farming methods had worked perfectly when their population was smaller, but centuries of continuous cultivation had depleted the soil of essential minerals. The crystal plants were literally starving. "The soil is exhausted," Ben explained. "On Earth, we learned that farming the same land over and over removes nutrients that plants need. We had to develop ways to put those nutrients back." Princess Nira looked puzzled. "But how do you feed the soil?" "It is not alive like the plants," Ben smiled. This was exactly the kind of thinking that made the partnership between their species so valuable. That's where human and Veilnari knowledge can work together. "I know about soil chemistry, but you understand energy cultivation in ways my people never could." Over the following weeks, Ben worked with the Veilnari agricultural experts to develop a new farming system. He introduced concepts like crop rotation and organic fertilization, while they taught him how to use harmonic resonance to enhance plant growth. The breakthrough came when Ben realized that human composting techniques could be adapted to work with crystalline life forms. Instead of decomposing organic matter, they could break down depleted crystal formations and recycle their minerals back into the soil. "We create a cycle," Ben explained to Queen Zara during one of their regular progress meetings. "Old crystal provides nutrients for new growth, and new growth eventually becomes nutrients for the next generation." The Queen listened intently as Ben outlined his plans. "Your people think in circles," she observed. "Where we see beginnings and endings, you see continuous flow." "Everything in nature is connected," Ben said. "When we work with those connections instead of against them, amazing things happen." The first test garden was planted near the palace. Ben and Princess Nira worked side by side, combining human agricultural techniques with Veilnari crystal cultivation. They planted earth vegetables alongside crystal formations, creating a hybrid ecosystem that neither species could have imagined alone. To everyone's amazement, the two different types of plants seemed to help each other grow. The earth plants produced organic compounds that the crystal formations could use, while the crystals provided minerals that enriched the soil for the vegetables. "Look at this," Princess Nira said excitedly one morning as they checked on the test garden. "The crystal fruits are twice as large as normal, and your tomatoes are growing faster than they should in this climate." Ben knelt beside a thriving tomato plant, whose roots were intertwined with glowing crystal formations. It was like nothing he had ever seen in his botanical studies. The two different forms of life were truly cooperating, creating something greater than either could achieve alone. Word of the successful test garden spread quickly throughout the Veilnari territories. Delegations of farmers arrived daily to learn the new techniques. Ben found himself teaching not just medicine but agriculture, while learning from the Veilnari about energy cultivation and harmonic resonance. As the hybrid gardens expanded, something unexpected happened. The improved nutrition from the new crops began reversing the early stages of the fading in many Veilnari. Ben's medical breakthrough and agricultural innovation were solving the same underlying problem: mineral deficiency caused by depleted resources. One evening, as Ben walked through the thriving gardens with Queen Zara, she spoke thoughtfully about the changes happening in her kingdom. "When you first arrived, I saw only a strange creature who had fallen from the sky," she said. "I could not have imagined that your presence would transform our entire way of life." Ben looked out over the gardens where earth plants and crystal formations grew together in perfect harmony. "I couldn't have imagined it either. But that's what happens when different forms of life work together instead of staying separate." Their peaceful moment was interrupted by the arrival of a Veilnari messenger moving at urgent speed. "Your Majesty," the messenger called, "ships have been detected approaching our system. They appear to be from the human homeworld." Ben felt his heart skip a beat. Earth ships meant rescue, but also meant leaving behind everything he had built here. He looked at Queen Zara and saw his own conflicted emotions reflected in her crystal features. "Come," the Queen said. "We must prepare to meet your people." The Earth rescue ship arrived 2 days later, a massive vessel that dwarfed Ben's original research craft. Captain Rodriguez and a full diplomatic team came down to the surface, expecting to find a stranded scientist in need of immediate evacuation. Instead, they found Ben standing beside Queen Zara in gardens where human and alien life flourished together. He wore clothes woven from crystal fiber that Princess Nira had made for him, and he spoke with the confidence of someone who had found his true calling. "Dr. Torres," Captain Rodriguez said with obvious confusion, "are you being held against your will? We're here to take you home." Ben smiled and gestured to the thriving gardens around them. "Captain, with respect, I am home, and I have something incredible to share with Earth." Over the following days, Ben showed the Earth delegation everything he had accomplished: the medical breakthroughs that could help both species, the agricultural techniques that could feed worlds, the technology that neither humans nor Velnari could have developed alone. Captain Rodriguez was skeptical at first, but the evidence was overwhelming. Ben had not just survived on an alien world, he had helped create a new model for cooperation between species. "The regulations require me to offer you immediate passage back to Earth," the captain said during their final meeting. "I understand," Ben replied, "but I have a counter-proposal." Ben turned to address both the Earth delegation and Queen Zara's council. "What if instead of me leaving, we opened a permanent exchange program? Humans and Velnari working together, sharing knowledge, building something neither of us could achieve alone." Princess Nira stepped forward to translate Ben's proposal into the harmonic language of her people. The council members exchanged musical discussions before Queen Zara responded. "The human doctor speaks wisdom," she said. "We have learned much from each other. Perhaps it is time for our species to walk the same path toward the future." Captain Rodriguez looked around at the impossible gardens and the medical equipment that defied everything he knew about technology. "I'll need to contact Earth Command, but I think they're going to want to hear about this." As the negotiations continued over the following weeks, Ben found himself in a position he had never expected, serving as an ambassador between two species. His crashed ship had become the foundation for something much larger than a rescue mission. The final agreement established a permanent research station where humans and Velnari could work together. Ben would serve as the first director, with Princess Nira as his co-director. The hybrid gardens would be expanded into a full agricultural research center, and the medical techniques they had developed would be shared with both worlds. On the day the Earth delegation prepared to leave with news of the alliance, Ben stood with Queen Zara watching the rescue ship prepare for departure. "Do you ever regret the choice you made?" she asked. Ben looked out over the crystal city where human and Velnari children now played together in the gardens he had helped create. "Never," he said. "Sometimes the best discoveries happen when you stop trying to go back to where you came from and start building something new where you are." The Queen nodded, her crystal skin catching the light of the alien sun. "Your ship brought you to us by accident, but I believe the universe intended for our paths to cross." As the Earth ship departed carrying messages of friendship and cooperation, Ben realized that his greatest discovery was not a new world or a new species. It was the understanding that life always found a way to grow stronger when different forms worked together. In the gardens where crystal and carbon-based life flourished side by side, the future was taking root.